We are back. I hope you enjoyed that blast from the past, right?
Yes, classic.
Classic Dr. Weiner. Yeah, it was nice. I think that was a great little insert there for everybody to get some nostalgia and see the doc. This is, of course, the Weiner Wellness Week, named after the icon, Dr. James Weiner. But anyway, we're back and we're live, and we have the GOAT, the greatest of all time, the Road Warrior, Mike Gallagher, NF's own Mike Gallagher. And when you need to break down a product, nobody does it better. He does it every day for all his doctors, and he does it better than anyone. And this product needs this kind of a breakdown because it's that good, because it's that new, it's that different. And it's one of the things that I think we're going to be promoting for a long, long time. It's called SPM. And that stands for Specialized Pro Resolving Mediators. As I said earlier, one of our docs that was on yesterday talked about this being vital in cancer prevention, okay, and any degenerative disease prevention. So without any further ado, let's turn it over to Mike. Break it down, Mike.
Thanks, Joe. Appreciate it. Kind words.
All right, man.
All right. Welcome, everybody. I appreciate talking to everyone today. I always enjoy this because, you know, especially helping out at the Weiner events, because normally I talk to doctors, I talk to all different types of healthcare practitioners all throughout the state and all throughout the country. But, you know, these events, I'm actually able to talk to the people to really try to explain things, help them. So again, any type of condition, any situation, I'll share with you what I've seen work through the years, and I've been doing it a long time, to over 28 years. So as Joe said, today we're going to talk about something that's really, really exciting. And I could put every adjective out there that you want to use. Incredible, amazing, game changer. It's all of those and then some. In fact, in the 20 years I've been doing this, I've never seen anything that has helped people the way this does and so quickly that this does. And we've only had it for a couple months. And the feedback has been incredible. And also, I'm going to share with you numerous testimonials here, numerous case studies that I've gotten. So again, maybe one of these might pertain to you or a family member or a friend or a neighbor. So we're just going to go through our tech sheet. So some of it is written very technical. I'm going to simplify a lot for you. I'm going to give you dosing. I'm going to share with you a lot of different things here regarding this, give you all the ins and outs. So that by the time we finish this, you should have hopefully a much better understanding of this amazing new formula. Okay, so by the way, this is right off our website. Anybody can pull this up. So if you go to nutritionalfrontiers.com and pull this up, and just in the search, you type in SPM, this pop. And so under the professional tab, you click on that, and then there's a PDF, and it'll come right to this page. So anybody, and you can print right from your right from your home as far as that goes. Okay, so let's get into it here. All right, so this is on the back of the tech sheet. All right, so most people have never heard of SPMs. And what SPM stand for is Specialized Pro Resolving Mediators. And this is a brand new way of looking at inflammation. And this has only been recently discovered. So that's why most people never heard of this. But what we have found is that during any type of inflammation, whether it's acute, whether it's chronic, you name it, our bodies make this. In fact, every mammal on the planet makes these SPMs, okay? So this is totally safe for cats, dogs, and horses, okay? And by the way, typically we don't make enough of this. So that all we're simply doing from a supplement standpoint is we're just adding more to what is already there to jumpstart the healing process. So that's the really simple explanation, but we're going to get into a lot more of it with these SPMs. So every mammal makes these. And if you look at the third, about 3/4 of the way down, also in breast milk. So new mothers make additional amounts of these, which again should be another reason why they should be breastfeeding. And if they're not, that's another strike against the baby from day one. But with that being said, this is totally safe for pregnancy and pregnant women and nursing women. So if they're having any inflammatory issues, totally safe. And normally we're handcuffed on what we can do nutritionally for pregnant and nursing women, but this is totally safe. So again, if you have anybody in that situation, please pass this information on to them as well. Okay, so the inflammatory process here, I think most of us know what we're talking about as far as that goes. But again, it's a chain of events. Any type of response to any type of injury, again, acute, if you sprain your ankle, or chronic. And this is the challenge that our allopathic model has issues with, is the chronic aspect. So if we are injured, if we get run over by a car, if we have a gunshot wound, any of those kind of emergency situations, we have the best care in the United States, right? But for these chronic diseases, diabetes, any autoimmune, heart disease, which is still the number one killer, cancer, of course, Crohn's, colitis, you name it. And then we get into the brain stuff, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, okay? All of these are inflammatory responses, okay? And the drugs are not meant to be taken long-term with these situations. Now, again, we never want to tell you to get off any medication, right? So we want to make that very clear. We're not making any claims with this. I'm going to share with you several cases, but not making any claims. If you're on medication, and we'll talk a bit about what thing to be cautious about, but you always want to work with your prescribing physician. And the whole idea, if you're taking this, is complementing the rest of everything else that you're doing. And the whole idea is over time, hopefully you need less and less of your medications. That is the goal for any of our supplements, but it's a program. Obviously, we want to do everything else. We want to obviously focus on the diet, okay? Health, eating, know your sources on the food, organic as much as possible, right? Know your local farmers, drink plenty of water, exercise, make sure you're hydrated, pure water, and make sure we're sleeping, right? So again, we want to make sure we're doing everything else, and that's why it is called a supplement, because if we're not, you're not going to get the best results, you're not going to get the fastest results, and that's what we're trying to do. Okay, so SPMs, let's go through this right here. So we're going to talk a lot about this third paragraph. So SPMs do not block the vital initial inflammatory response to trauma. So what does block inflammation to trauma? Drugs, okay? That's why you feel the pain relief, but it's not really getting to the root of the problem in healing, right? It's blocking. And that's the big difference between a drug and a supplement. It takes a little bit longer with the supplement, but inflammation, it is part of the healing process. So if we continuously are blocking that process, again, we're never truly helping you at its core, right? So key thing there, we're not blocking as far as that go, but rather SPMs prevent excessive inflammation and promote tissue homeostasis, right? That's a fancy word for return back to normal. By controlling the duration and magnitude of the inflammation. So think of this as like a fire, right? So SPMs are basically controlling that nozzle. So the more that flame is out of control, the more it's increasing it. And the more we need, by the way, nutritionally, versus, once the fire's out, then we don't need as much. Okay. Now, they're called resolving mediators because of their role in facilitating natural resolution of the inflammatory response. So we can then break these down. So examples of these SPMs include resolvins, lipoxins, protectins, and maresins. So you want to think of these as a special skill set. So you think about, let's just use a different analogy, a football team, right? You have some that are offensive linemen, you have some that are running backs, you have some wide receivers, and you have a quarterback. It's the same thing, but each one of these is extremely unique in how it works. So for our situation with health, one works on the brain, okay? One works on the gut. One works on musculoskeletal pain. One works on the heart, okay? And so there's tons of studies, all kinds of PubMed articles on this. And by the way, that's what medical doctors refer to, PubMed, published medical studies. And there's hundreds on SPMs in each one of these as well. So it's something that, you know, a doctor can't say to me, oh, where's the research? There's tons of research on this, okay? They just never heard of it. They just never heard of it. So that's why this is just an amazing discovery. Okay, so the whole family of these is SPM, Specialized Pro Resolving Mediators. But then they break down into these different subsets to help with all of these inflammatory issues. So this formula has every one of these and can help with every single one of these situations. And that is why this is so amazing. Okay, moving on. SPMs have demonstrated potent immunoregulatory and anti-inflammatory activities, such as inhibiting the production of pro-inflammatory mediators and regulating white blood cells. Okay, so that's big fancy terms there. So let's break that down. So this will help strengthen your immune. And what a lot of people don't know is there are studies with omega-3 fish oil that will strengthen your immune, okay? And we'll talk about the source and where we're getting this from in a minute. But so basically what we're looking at here is that this can help with all immune issues, all right? Now, let's take the worst case we have going right now, COVID. There is a PubMed study that's showing SPMs can actually calm down cytokine storm, okay, and help with it. Again, it's one piece of a large puzzle, but a very, very important piece. Secondly, there's all kinds of emerging research on this with cancer, okay, and I'm going to share a testimonial here, case study that I've already received with the cancer case here at the end. But here's also a really big deal why this is important, okay? So our natural immune system was designed to make what's called macrophage 1 and macrophage 2, okay? So if we're exposed to any virus, any bacteria, any foreign invader, right, our first response our body makes is called macrophage 1. Think of it like the Marines, okay? First line of defense. So again, if you're fighting a cold or flu, you might get a slight spike in fever. Again, that's part of the healing process, okay? Right? But right behind that is macrophage 2. Macrophage 2 is like the firemen and the cleanup crew. They calm everything down and they clean out the debris, okay? Now, according to some of the doctors we work with, Dr. Sherry Tenpenny, Dr. Judy Mikovits, just to mention a few, but there's many, many others out there that have looked at the technology with these new COVID shots, okay? Specifically the mRNA, all right? That would be Moderna, that would be Pfizer. And what, according to the doctors we work with, what the animals that got this technology, and the technology has been around since 2012. They just added the vaccine part of it. And again, I don't even call it that, but they added to that technology. But what they found with the animal studies is that when the animals were exposed to other viruses the following winter, and then the following winter, and then the following winter, within 3 years, the animals made that MAC 1. They made that, but they could not make MAC 2. And so every single animal died within 3 years. This is a fact. You're not going to see this anywhere. It's getting censored, blocked everywhere, but this is the studies looking at this technology. Now, we don't know what's going to happen with humans because there's never been any human clinical studies, long-term studies with this technology. So again, we don't want to freak people out. We just want people to be very aware of this because you're not being told this by any place else. So the good news is that SPMs and quercetin can actually enhance macrophage 2 activity, okay? So to me, we're now at a crossroads for natural immune health. So we really have to break this down into depending on if you get the COVID shot, specifically Moderna or Pfizer, or whether you don't get the shot, which should be everyone's personal choice, right? That's the way it should be. So here would be my top 6 if you got the shot. Okay. This would be number 1, SPMs, 2 a day. And again, this is just for prevention. It can also help minimize any potential adverse events as well. Quercetin would be number 2 at 2 a day.
Should you take in addition to the omega-3 soft gels?
Yeah. So I will at the end, I will position here in a minute. I will position how we look at fish oil versus this. Okay. So I'll answer that question. I promise. Okay. So number 1, SPM. Number 2, quercetin. Number 3 is our Immunomax. And that comes in a capsule, our new and improved chewable. It has many, many, many potent immune enhancing ingredients in that. Several actually ingredients for cancer as well, by the way. Number 4, vitamin D. And again, this time of year, we recommend 10,000 IUs of vitamin D in the wintertime when we get into fall and winter season. And looking at a blood test, we want to be between 70 and 100 on a vitamin D3 test. So I would always suggest, to get your test first, see where your levels are at, but for 3 months, and then take that amount and then retest to see where you're at. Okay. Number 4, zinc. All right. Number 5, or actually 4 zinc. Number 5 is number 5. So let's start over. SPMs, quercetin, vitamin D, zinc, SPMs, quercetin, Immunomax, vitamin D, okay, zinc, and vitamin C. All right. So with the zinc, the research shown we need 50 milligrams a day. So we have that in a capsule, or that would be 2 of our lozenges. Vitamin C, we need to be at least 1,000 milligrams or 1 gram. And we have that in many options. We have it in a liposomal liquid. We have it in a buffered capsule. We have it in a powder. We have it in a chewable, cherry chew. So we have a lot of different ways to get these. So that would be my top 6. And here, now, if you didn't get the shot, it would be the same formulas, but we would just do it in a different order. So number 1 would be Immunomax. And I recommend, again, 2 a day. By the way, if you're ever coming down with a cold or a flu, we've had incredible results taking a loading dose, which is 2 every 2 hours for 12 hours straight. Okay. If it's a cold and we catch it in the first stages, we've had many, many, many people through the years that it knocked a cold out. I've had cases where I knocked it out in 6 hours. Okay. So we don't have the cure for the common cold, but we can get it to 6 to 12 hours, which is pretty darn good. Now, if it's the flu, it's going to dramatically reduce the duration of the flu. Okay, 2 every 2 hours. Now, if you're under 100 pounds, so children or somebody who's sensitive to vitamins or medication, I would just cut it in half. Go 1 every 2 hours. But I've done it. Hundreds of doctors have done this. Thousands of people have done this through the years. Immunomax is one of our original formulas, and have told me it works. So as we get into cold and flu season, Immunomax should always be in your cabinet because, again, be both prevention, or if you are coming down with some, it can quickly help. Okay, so top 6 without Immunomax, number 1, vitamin D, number 2, zinc, number 3, right? Quercetin, number 4, SPM, number 5, and vitamin C, number 6. Now, that's my top 6. But here's another way you want to look at this situation with viruses. All viruses. By the way, we're exposed to over 500,000 viruses every day, and you can put them on the tip of your fingernail. So it's part of our natural ecosystem. It's meant to increase your natural immune system, right? Which I think a lot of people are forgetting about. Okay. So obviously, COVID is one virus, but there's actually 31 different types of coronavirus. Cold is one, flu is one. So COVID, it obviously gets everybody's attention, but keep that in mind. So this is how viruses attack, right? So very simple terms here. Viruses attack through your vitamin D receptor site, okay? It is like your front door. So the higher your vitamin D, the more that door is locked. The security system is on. The lower your vitamin D, it's like an open door saying, please attack me. Okay. How viruses duplicate is through the back door. Zinc closes the back door. Okay. Locks it. Now, quercetin enhances the absorption of zinc and vitamin C. So it's like an extra alarm system if you add quercetin to it. Okay. So anytime if you're taking zinc or C, you should always take it with quercetin. All right. So that is a very simple way of explaining on a very, very complex subject, but hopefully from a nutritional standpoint, that makes sense to everybody. Okay. So again, can everybody do 6 things? I wish they would. I take all 6 myself, but again, I just prioritize them depending on what you can do and what you can handle. If you're not sure, again, here at the Weiner Wellness Center, we have several practitioners can actually guide you in the right direction. If you want to get muscle tested, just like Dr. Weiner did, kinesiology testing, Jeff Nisnik can test you to see which formulas would be best for your body. Or if you prefer a machine, Ashley Rozzi can do that with a Zyta machine here as well and get you in the right direction. So when I'm giving you these examples here, these are general recommendations, okay? But again, looking at the research, looking at what I see every day, talking to hundreds and hundreds of doctors every month, this is what I feel are the best of the best. But SPM is in the list. Whether you get the shot or whether you don't, it should be part of your natural immune system, okay? Very, very important. Okay, now let's focus here on the last portion of this. Now, in addition to actively resolving inflammation, SPMs protect organs. And again, that's a big problem with the medications. If you take them for long-term use, even, NSAIDs, we know after 3 days can start eating away at your gut, cause bleeding. And the longer you take NSAIDs, Advil, Aleve, things like this, again, it affects your kidneys and so forth, and your liver and so forth. So SPMs protect your organs and they stimulate tissue regeneration. Now, if you have joint pain, if you have arthritis, will this regenerate cartilage? No. Our HA Plus will do that. And we've helped thousands of people through the years. It's our number 1 supplement, number 1 formula here at the clinic. If you have leaky gut, GI issue, will this regenerate GI mucosal tissue? No. GI Complete, the powder or the capsules, will do that. But this is the first part. So there's really 2 parts to inflammation. This part is cooling everything down, calming that inflammation. And then the second part is the rebuild. If you never do the rebuild, then you'll have to be on something like this the rest of your life, and that's not the goal, nor do we want you to do that. It is only, again, meant to be, if you're doing it for inflammation, short-term with that approach, okay? So there's really 2 parts. And again, we have a saying. The saying is we can't rebuild the house if the house is still on fire, right? The SPMs put that out, that fire, right? So that's a really simple, easy way of explaining it. Now, let me just grab a sip of water here. Now, the research shows there's all kinds of emerging research, okay? And the other day I listed it. There's, you name it, we listed several here: pain, arthritis. Let me go back up to the top here, right? Arthritis, also colitis, kidneys, periodontal issues, gum issues, asthma, but really anything chronic is inflammation, and this should help with almost everything, and that is what I'm seeing in the field, by the way. All right, last really important part, this last paragraph. While we produce these naturally in humans, as I mentioned, all mammals, the ability of the body to produce them may be compromised in the setting of obesity and aging. So this is one reason why the older you get, the harder and longer it is to heal, okay, is because of the lack of these SPMs. And secondly, obesity, well, statistically speaking, 42% of the United States is clinically obese. 42%. And those are the most susceptible for COVID, right? So a lot of people don't talk about that, but that's the number one factor is obesity. And so, it just shows how sick our country is when we have that many people, almost half the country is obese, and it's getting worse every single day. I would also add to this list, all autoimmune issues make very little of SPMs, and all cancer make very little of SPMs, okay? So especially for those cases, we would strongly recommend this. Okay, now let's go back to the beginning here. So from a supplement standpoint, the way we have to make this is we have to extract it from omega-3 fish oil, okay? But it's a very, very technical, very, very complicated process. But again, I'm going to just simplify it. So we have fish oil right at the top, and we get it from our same source as our omega-3D, which, by the way, is a pharmaceutical drug license facility in Germany, but they choose not to make pharmaceuticals. They make nutraceuticals. And that's the highest standard you can have in the manufacturing process. So we get it. We start with fish oil, but then there's a series of steps. The first step is we need enzymes that breaks it down into them, what's called pre-resolving mediators. Then we break it down into these pro-resolving mediators, okay? So the beginning is fish oil, but the end point is not fish oil. So I would say, even to the vegetarians out there, you can't look at this as fish. The source of it is fish. The end is not, okay? And so, again, we just want to emphasize this. Now, to the average person, I would say, this is like fish oil on steroids, next generation fish oil 2.0, right? Fish oil squared, right? But here's another way I would look at this, okay? My training in the last 28 years, everything that I was taught about the benefits of fish oil, pain, brain, heart, eyes, skin, hair, hormone, immune, and oh, by the way, 500 other things. It wasn't the fish oil, folks. It was this, the SPM. We just didn't know about it at the time. So that's how exciting this is, this discovery. And so you want to retrain your brain now. Now fish oil still has its place, and here's the answer to your question. If you don't have any health issues, okay, and you can just take regular fish oil, omega-3D, or once we fix your health issues and now you're 100% better, then we can transition to omega-3. Now you can always add it, no problem. That's up to you, of course. You can add anything to this, no problem. But again, if I was positioning this versus fish oil, that's how I would look at it. And there is a little bit of fish oil in this, but that we added. But regular fish oil does not contain SPMs. All right. So we really want people to understand this. You can't look at this as a fish oil. It comes from a fish oil. That's the source, the original source of it, but it's broken down so many steps involved here that it's not fish oil. So hopefully that makes sense to everybody and how we look at this. Okay. So for any of those issues. Now, we have a lot of other natural anti-inflammatories through the years. Okay. We have X-Flame, we have Inflame, we have turmeric, we have CBD, all right? If you are using any of those current supplements and you are 100% better, there's no need for this unless you want it for the immune side, okay? So you want to look at it from that sense. But for those other issues, for the inflammation side, if those things are working, this is not necessary on the inflammatory side. Yes, it would still be excellent for the immune side. But that's how you want to look at this as far as that goes. Now, let's talk about the dosage. Okay. And by the way, so right here is how it's broken down. So these long technical terms is how we have to write it on the label. So this is what you should always look for on the label with SPMs. So one is coming from the EPA, one is coming from the DHA, one's coming from the DPM, by the way. Okay, now, how we dose this. It is really dependent on how much pain or inflammation that you're in. So I always ask somebody on a scale 1 to 10, give me a number, okay? Now, if it's knees and the person says, well, I'm a 3 right now, but if I walk up the steps, I'm a 7, then we go with the 7. So we always go with the larger number here, okay? But on that scale 1 to 10, if you are a 5 or less, so this is what I have seen clinically to get the best results, we would start with 2 a day. You can take both at the same time, or you can split them up, doesn't matter, but 2 for 2 days, okay? If, and only if after 2 days you do not get better, you're not feeling it, then we would bump it up to 3 a day for 2 days. And then if you're still not getting results, then we would go to 4, 2 breakfast, 2 dinner, okay? Some people have seen results just with 2 a day. In fact, there was one of my other accounts who was in a accident a couple years ago, had a concussion, and in her words, never quite right since. And she took 2 a day, and she told me she noticed it in 1 day, 24 hours. She noticed it, okay? Some people need the 4, though. And again, pain is different for every single person. Everyone's tolerance on pain is different, of course, for every single person, okay? Now, if you go to that scale, if you're a 6 to 10, right? So an acute issue or inflammatory issue, major problems, okay? We go right to 4 a day, 2 in the morning and 2 at night, okay? The only way the only area where we would dose stronger would be active COVID and active cancer. For those issues, we would go 6 a day, okay? Now, if Jeff is muscle testing you and you test for 7 or 8, I would go by him. If so, again, keep that in mind. If doctors are specifically testing you on each supplement, but I'm giving you general recommendations here where I've seen the best clinical results, okay? So typically 2 to 4, but for serious cases, we can go as high as 6. Okay, the point with this is we would know in one bottle, if this is helping, okay? So this isn't some, I'm going to take, 3 bottles, and then they're like, I'm not really. No, we would know in 1 bottle. Most people see results really quick with this if it is helping, okay? So that's how we look at the dosing. Hopefully that makes sense for everybody. And this comes in a 60 soft gel. So again, 1 bottle, give us 1 bottle. Again, if nothing else that you're doing is working, give this a chance. That's all we would say. Now, as far as medication interaction, again, this is, derived from an omega fish oil. So if you are on a prescription blood thinner, then we would recommend that you have to talk to your PCP or cardiologist before you start this. We want their approval just to make sure they're aware of this, number one, and it's fine with them. And some are fine with it. Every doctor's different, but every other medication, it's totally safe. We just want to take it at least an hour apart, okay? Which is a good general rule of thumb for all supplements. You should take them an hour apart from your medication. This way, we're allowing the medication to do its job, and then the supplement is doing its job, okay? That's how you want to look at this, all right? Now, the only other concern or caution with this is if you do not have a gallbladder, okay? And the main purpose of a gallbladder is to break down fat, and whether it's good fat or bad fat. So unfortunately, this is the number one surgery in hospitals out there is the gallbladder. And they fail to mention to people what the purpose is. And once they have the surgery, most of them will have problems breaking down fat for the rest of their life. And through the years, I've talked to many people here that I've recommended fish oil to, and they say to me, oh, I can't take that. And I'm like, why? And I'm like, because I burp it up. And I'm like, do you have a gallbladder? And then they look at me, smile, and they say, how did you know that? Because that is the function of the gallbladder. So if that is you, we can help. We have a very specific digestive enzyme called betazyme. Betazyme has ox bile in it. ox bile will replace the function of the gallbladder. It will remove excess fat, excess bile, and we would dose the Betazyme 1 cap with the last bite of each meal. And for a lot of people, they notice it almost immediately. So again, if that is not you, you might know somebody that is the issue. And if you have that issue, you want to take the Betazyme with the SPM to be able to break it down as far as that goes. Okay. Now, let's talk about some case studies. And again, everybody's different. I'm just going to share with you what I've seen in less than 2 months working with all different types of practitioners. So let's talk about the pain side. Okay. So there was another chiropractor that I work with. He's been practicing over 20 years. I just started working with him a little bit ago. He's tried a lot of different natural anti-inflammatories, but the wear and tear on the shoulders has finally caught up to him. And he tried these SPMs and he called me in a week and he said, Mike, this is the best I've felt in years in 1 week. So if you have a job where you are doing physical labor, and again, it's part of that situation and nothing is helping you, try this, okay? Try this. I had another case with a neck injury, motorcycle accident years ago. Nothing's been quite right. Tried the SPMs within a week or two, fantastic results, okay? But then I had another case, and this is really amazing. So this is another clinic who's one of the staff, was in a car accident as well 21 years ago and has been in pain ever since. And she literally has tried everything. She's tried stem cell. She's tried biologics. She's tried prolotherapy. She's tried cold laser. She's tried chiropractic. She's tried everything but surgery. And she's tried every supplement under the sun. And she started this, taking 4-day, 2 breakfast, 2 dinner, and in 4 days, 50% reduction in pain. 21 years, 4 days. So that office is going crazy with this because they've never seen anything like this as well. But again, these are some of the cases that I am hearing. Now, let's talk about the brain side. So I mentioned the concussion situation already. Okay, that's one. By the way, I would also recommend GI Complete because the research is showing that within the first 3 days, it actually triggers leaky gut. So keep that in mind for any concussion situation, which is why most people who get concussions are vomiting or have a very very thin stomach. It's hard for them to eat. Okay, so but concussion is one. Second was MS. Okay. MS case noticed a huge difference in just a few days. Third case was a post-COVID brain fog. And this is a really big issue now, folks. So again, might not be you, but somebody you know that's really just having trouble concentrating and focusing. And this has really, really helped. So I mentioned all brain issues this could be excellent for. So when I say brain, I literally mean everything. I mean anxiety, sleep, depression, okay? I mean dementia, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, MS, every neurological issue, this could help, okay? It's worth trying 1 bottle because it could change your life, okay? And then last case. And again, I just want to emphasize, I'm not making any claims here. This was what was told to me by another practitioner, okay? Actually, before I do that, one other case, we'll get to that one in a second, but had another case, 76-year-old female. She slipped this summer at the pool and she fractured her arm, okay? And she did our calcium formula, which is Super Cal. She did our Super K2 Plus, which pushes calcium in the bones faster, but she added the SPMs because of that trauma event. And in 3 weeks, completely healed her broken arm, 76 years young, female. All right, but the last one, save the best for last. This was a cancer patient. And she has stage 4. and it's metastasizing everywhere and tumors everywhere. And she is going downhill and really bad situation. Now, she was trying to do some things holistically. And again, but nothing was working. But the practitioner added the SPMs for this individual, 6 a day, 6 a day. And she got a screening a week later. And according to the practitioner, the majority of tumors are shrinking and some have completely disappeared in a week. Okay. And most importantly, she feels better. She feels like better than she's been in years. So the quality of her life has improved in just a week. All right. So I mentioned there's all kinds of research on this for cancer. Keep this in mind, right? It could really help somebody. Okay. So we've talked to, I think we talked to pretty much almost everything about this. Is there any questions?
Yeah, you have a question. For someone who got the Pfizer, should they take zinc long term, year round, or just when they have virus symptoms, since excess zinc can affect the body's copper ration?
Yeah. So the thing with zinc is a really simple test. If you try one of our zinc lozenges and you taste it, a metallic taste within 60 seconds, okay, you are good on zinc. You have enough zinc in your body, okay? So that's a really simple, easy way to see if you have enough zinc. And if you have enough, you don't need it. You don't need any more. But statistically speaking, 90% of the population is deficient in zinc. So that's how I would look at zinc. It's just try one of our lozenges and see if you taste that metallic taste. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. So folks, this is featured all week long on a tremendous special here. If you can't make it in, again, you can always call. But all we would say is give this a chance. I can't emphasize this enough that, I have the unique experience of working in a lot of different medical places, practitioners, holistic places, medical doctors, hospitals, naturopaths, clinical nutritionists, chiropractors, pharmacists. So I have a very, very unique perspective on what I'm hearing, what I'm seeing, what is being told to me in this realm. But again, I'm hearing things with this formula I've never heard of in 28 years. Okay. So we'll know in one bottle, give it a chance. That's all I can ask. Question.
One more. Any research on use with fibroids?
I've not seen specifically with fibroids, but I can tell you a case study with fibroids, uterine fibroids, with our iodine plus and our estro cleanse, because that is both can be a thyroid issue as well as a hormonal imbalance. And taking 3 a day, both for 3 months. Then they went back and got tested. And again, a case study here, but they did not have any fibroids after 3 months or dramatically reduced. So again, I would add that to this would be number 3 on the list: estro cleanse, iodine plus, and SPM. That would be my protocol for somebody in that situation. Okay. All right. Any questions you guys have?
Actually, yeah. What types of zinc are best? There's more than one type of zinc.
Yeah, there's different levels. We're trying to use the best ones here with our lozenges or with our capsules. There's zinc picolinate. We have zinc picolinate. We have zinc glycinate. The ones that we have here are really absorbable, really good. So it just really depends on your personal preference, whether you prefer a lozenge, or we now have a gummy in as well, or also we have it with a capsule.
You made a good point, and I guess that's where I was kind of going with my question. So thank you for helping me to refine it. Which type of zinc, I guess, is the most absorbable, or all they, or the gluconate?
Yeah, they're all. Yeah, great question. The question was which zinc is most absorbable. The ones that we're using are all at the very top of the absorbability chain. But if you want extra absorbability, the key is adding quercetin to it, because there's 2 clinical trials right now that are showing quercetin can enhance the zinc. All right, but just do that very simple zinc test. You can try it here. We have it right here for you. We'll know in 60 seconds if you taste anything metallic. Okay. All right, folks. Hopefully that makes sense to you. Keep this in mind. It's on special. Give it a chance. I appreciate all your support. Thank you so much. God bless.